You hear about generative AI everywhere, right? It's been called capitalism's new golden goose, the thing that's going to reshape, well, everything. But here's the thing. Once you push past all the headlines and actually look at the data, a very, very different story starts to emerge. I mean, with all the money being poured into it, all the endless AI Monday meetings, a really critical question is starting to bubble up. Is this AI revolution actually working for most companies? Or is it creating more losers than winners? So, a huge new report just dropped from MIT, and it reveals a number that is just staggering: 95%. Think about that. That's the percentage of corporate Gen AI pilot projects that fail to produce any real measurable impact on revenue. 95. And this is what the researchers are calling the Gen AI divide. It's this massive growing gap, right? You've got this tiny 5% of companies that are absolutely crushing it with AI. And then, well, everyone else. The 95% whose projects just fizzle out. So what in the world is going on here? Now, the answer probably isn't what you're thinking. It's not that the AI models aren't smart enough. It's not about red tape or regulations. Nope. The real culprit is something much more fundamental. It's what the report calls the Great Learning Gap. And listen to this quote from a corporate lawyer in the study. It just nails the problem. He says AI is, quote, excellent for brainstorming, but it doesn't retain knowledge. It repeats the same mistakes. You see, for high-stakes work, you need something that gets smarter. Consumer tools are great for a first draft, but they have zero memory. They don't learn from your feedback or remember the edits you made 5 minutes ago. And that right there is the key. The problem isn't the AI's IQ. It's that these tools can't actually learn and adapt inside a real company's workflow. Most of these big corporate AI systems are just rigid. They can't handle the messy, always changing reality of how people actually work. They simply don't evolve. So because the AI can't learn, people just don't trust it. It's that simple. The researchers asked employees, okay, for a really important, high-stakes project, who do you trust more? And the result was a landslide. 90% said they'd pick a human colleague. Only 10% picked the AI. Sure, for a simple task, the AI is fine. But when the work actually matters, when it needs context, people still trust other people by a huge 9-to-1 margin. And on top of this learning gap, there's a big problem with where the money is going. The MIT report shows that more than half of all the Gen AI cash is being spent on the flashy stuff, sales and marketing. But the real gold mine, the biggest bang for your buck, it's in the less glamorous back office. Streamlining operations, automating all that tedious grunt work, that's where the real ROI is hiding. Okay, but this is where the story gets really interesting. Because while all these official top-down corporate AI projects are failing, there's a secret revolution happening. And it's coming from the ground up. The data shows this huge disconnect. Get this, only about 40% of companies have actually bought official AI tools for their employees. But at the same time, employees at over 90% of those companies are using their own personal AI subscriptions, their own ChatGPT or Claude accounts to get their jobs done. It's wild. This whole shadow AI economy tells us two really important things. First, people desperately want to use AI. The demand is absolutely real. And second, the tools that people actually adopt are the ones that are flexible, responsive, and easy to use. Basically, the complete opposite of those clunky, top-down systems that companies keep trying to force on them. All right, so if the 95% are stuck in this rut of failed projects and shadow AI, what about the winners? What is that top 5% doing that's so different? Well, it turns out they have a playbook. And the biggest single difference between the winners and the losers comes down to one simple choice. They buy, they don't build. The report puts it bluntly, saying that almost everywhere they looked, companies were trying to build their own AI from scratch. And that strategy, it's just not working. And the numbers back this up completely. When companies partner with outside specialists, their AI projects succeed about 2/3 of the time, 67%. But when they try to build it all themselves, the success rate gets sliced in half, down to only about 33%. So this gives us a really clear 4-step playbook from the winners. Step 1, partner up with vendors who actually know what they're doing. Step 2, go after that high-return automation in the back office. Step 3, get your ideas from the people on the front lines, not just the execs. And finally, number 4, demand tools that can actually learn and get better over time, solving that core learning gap. Okay, so when you see a 95% failure rate right next to billions and billions of dollars in investment, it's really easy to just call this whole thing a bubble. So, what is it? Is the AI bubble about to pop, or is this a real breakthrough? Well, think about it. Tons of investment, everybody's experimenting, and most of those experiments are failing. If that sounds familiar, it should. It looks a lot like the dot-com bubble back in the late 90s. And even Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, agrees with this. He said recently, this is indeed a bubble, but it's a bubble built around a kernel of truth. And that last part, a kernel of truth, that's everything. I mean, remember the dot-com bust? Thousands of companies like Pets.com just went up in smoke. But out of all that wreckage, we got giants like Google and Amazon. The internet revolution was absolutely real, even though most of the first attempts were total disasters. This AI bubble feels exactly the same. Yeah, 95% of corporate projects are failing right now, but underneath all that hype, a massive fundamental change is still happening. So the big takeaway here isn't that AI is a bust. Not at all. It's that the way most companies are trying to use it is just broken. And that leaves us with one final question, and this one's for you. Your organization is investing in AI. Are you sure you're using the right playbook to end up on the right side of the Gen AI divide?